Can you share something about some other interesting experiences that you've had? You've traveled to so many countries, you've met so many people. I know you used to drive
Let me say something about, because we met in Tanzania, I'll say something about Tanzania.
Yes.
At the time I was traveling with a friend of mine who, South African devotee, unfortunately passed away a few years ago. You probably remember him, Madhu Mangal?
Oh, I knew him.
Okay, you know, very cheerful.
Yes.
He's a person who had a very rubbery face, very elastic face, and he had the unique ability to go into a group of anybody, if they were very hostile people or very friendly people, and he could inspire them to collectively chant Hare Krishna. I always admired that in Madhu Mangal.
He was very sweet also.
Very much so, very approachable. So we were in Tanzania on the largest coastal city of Dar es Salaam, where you and I met, and we were scheduled to drive northwest to Tanzania's second largest city on the southern point of Lake Victoria, town of Mwanza.
I've been there too.
Mwanza, okay. Anyway, we had a whole series of mishaps along the way. We're driving my 1996 Land Rover, Defender Land Rover, which we thought was road ready, but we were in for a surprise or two. We had gone, I think this was probably about 10 o'clock at night, and we broke down at some point. Because we had taken a detour, and we found ourselves on a dirt road. We could have been in another century. There were no lamp poles, there was no evidence of 21st century life. As it turned out, we broke down.
Okay.
And we waited and waited, and a vehicle passed, and he agreed to tow us.
Okay.
But in Africa, nothing happens without some exchange of appreciation.
Money.
Very much like India. Very much like India. Anyhow, this car agreed to stop and help us out, but he looked at the size of his vehicle, the size of our vehicle, and quickly could understand that he is not going to be able to pull us. So we sat there wondering what we're going to do. But, you know, Krishna came through, again, as he has on so many occasions. Another Land Rover driven by a police vehicle. A police Land Rover stopped, and about 5 policemen in the back of the vehicle. We told them that we were working, doing God's work, as they say, Mambu ya Mungu. So we negotiated a reasonable token of appreciation, put it that way. So I had this large strap, so he agreed to pull us with that strap that I had. So we tied the strap to the front of his, back of his bumper and to the front of our vehicle, and he started pulling. But the tension on the cord was causing the vehicle to buck and lurch.
Ah, yes.
So within about 5 minutes he stopped. He said, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you, I can't help you here. One of these bumpers is going to break loose.
Yes.
And if we go back to the police station with a broken bumper, we have some explaining to do.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, I can't help you." I said, "So where does that leave us?" He said, "Well, we'll help you out." So they drove us down this long road for about 3 minutes. And I thought to myself, all these stories, all these movies, horror movies that I'd seen over the years, I conjured up all these images of Madhu and I being lined up against a wall, being shot, and having our vehicle taken away. So we went down this dark road, and all of a sudden we found ourselves in this big area, and these huge spotlights shone down on us. And I thought, are we in a stadium? Where are we here? So we just waited there. My Swahili wasn't very good, their English wasn't very good. So Father Renatus from I think their church is called the White Father's Mission. So some African man, about 50, was walking out. He was dressed in his priestly clothing. And he greeted us in a very nice way. And he spoke quite good English. And he turned out to be Father Renatus from the White Father's Mission in Arusha. White Father's Mission, I think, at that time was headed up by an Italian priest who had been there preaching to the Masai, local people, for the last 50 years. So he agreed to host us for a night and welcomed us in, and we sat in his kitchen talking a little bit, explaining who we were, what we're doing, and everything was very nice. The next morning we met one of the first Masai converts to Christianity, who didn't speak much English. He gave us a tour of his compound. He showed us the gift shop where the Masai could buy their necessities of life, and a big boma, I think they call it a boma, like a big circular church. And they would preach through, is the word pictographs? I think they had all these pictures. It was like a circular dome. They had all these pictures painted on the top to illustrate Jesus doing this and Jesus doing that, because a lot of the people there cannot read or write. Anyhow, he agreed for his mechanic to fix it. So the vehicle was fixed. I can't remember all the details, it's a little sketchy, but we were driving with one of the mechanics to the neighboring town of Arusha, which is right at close to where Mount Kilimanjaro is. This is all in Tanzania now. The car broke down again. The mechanic came out. We were directed to go to another area, which turned out to be a second branch of the White Father's mission. And this, I think, was in a town or a place called Engi Karet. We had no idea. No one communicated to us where we were going, what we were doing. We felt comfortable that things were working out well. We were then driven to the second branch of the White Father's mission, where we met Father John, another one of their priests who had studied in Vatican City for 4 years. In-depth theological study. That was an amazing experience. We had 1,000 copies of a DVD that it was a 1-hour movie that was made in ISKCON back in 1981, a documentary for general audiences. We had a transcript. We had everything that was originally spoken in English transcribed into Swahili, and then we had 3 or 4 people read out the script in a very crudely made makeshift, somewhat soundproof recording studio in Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
They were using old cushions to soundproof the room and everything else. Very rudimentary, very basic, but it did the job.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that whole transcript read on air, and then the sound engineer put everything together. And it was quite a good production, I would say almost professional. So we had 1,000 copies of those that I brought with me from Canada in a previous year. So Maru, Father Jean and I, and a couple of the sisters were living in that campground, I guess you could say. We all sat down, we watched this movie, and they were asking a lot of questions. Father John asked Maru and I, he said, I would like 1 copy. How many books do you have? We said, about 30. He said, I'd like 1 copy of each of those books, and I will pay full price. I'm not looking for a free book. So, looking back, we went through so many hardships driving from Dar es Salaam out to Mwanza. The breakdown that I spoke of was the final straw. We had 4 or 5 other breakdowns along the way. Nothing major, minor inconveniences, flat tires and those kind of things. But we actually saw Krishna's hand in this whole thing. That had we not broken down on our way to Mwanza, we would not have met Father Renatus, we would not have met Father John, 30 books would not have been bought and sold, and we would not have had a chance to sit down with the priests, the sisters, and everybody else to watch this movie.
So they all sat down and watched the movie?
Yeah. So when you see something like that, you get such a resurgence of faith, and you actually feel that Prabhupada is right there, Krishna is right there, and you can actually feel the pleasure that they're deriving from this whole thing happening.
Yes, in one sense, people who are already interested in spirituality, who are seeking God,
yes,
like those who are in the church, the nuns or the fathers, they are pious people. They have, they're searching for God, they have a serious quest, and they're intrinsically honest and sincere.
Yeah.
So Krishna made an arrangement for them to, understand a little more about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did they react? Were they appreciative?
Very much so. We never got a hold of Father John after that whole thing, and that's one of my regrets. There was no follow-up, and I wish we had somebody that we could have taken with at a later time.
Well, we hope that if we put this video out into YouTube, and
absolutely,
maybe somewhere, somehow he would hear and see, and maybe he'd get in touch with you again.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there's so much technology now, social media, Facebook. Maybe you'll find him.
Absolutely.
How old do you think he would be now?
I would say below 60.
Oh.
I can't remember what year it was, because Father Renatus was saying he was about to go to South Africa for a big football tournament.
Okay.
I'm not a football fan, so I couldn't tell you, but anybody who is would know.
Okay.
I would say that was probably within the last 10 years.
Okay.
If there was a big football game in Johannesburg, that was the year.
Okay.
Yeah.